in the back of her head, right?
Who, me?
No, Jada. She's all moving back there.
Oh, I was moving too.
Oh, you must be listening to the same thing as her.
Hey, I was listening to the gospel music.
The music keeps going on.
Yes.
So we are live on Facebook. So hello, everyone. We're getting started. Let me hit record. So welcome, everyone, to the third day of the Candid Conversations VirtuCon. I am Era Renard, your certified life and veteran development coach. And our panelists here today are Jada, Pete, and Heather. And I will let them introduce themselves to you. So Jada, go ahead. Let us know about you.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Jada Lanice Andrews Sullivan. I am a disabled veteran of the United States Army. I served my country, proudly served my country, wanted to make it a career. Unfortunately, that's not how God had planned for it to turn out. I'm a mother of four. I am a full-time entrepreneur. I wear many different hats. I'm the CEO of a record and network company. I'm the CEO of my own baked goods and gifts company. I am a licensed state notary, and I also have started a motivational, inspirational speaking company. I'm a domestic violence survivor, and I just tell everyone my story is I've never been a victim. I've always fought from victory, and whatever I can do to assist my other veterans in this fight to get what they need, that's what I'll do. So that's a little bit about me.
You are a busy young lady there. All right, Pete, your go. Pete is our jokester. Hold on. Okay, there we go, Pete.
Hi, my name is Pete Bloom, and I basically served 11 years in the military. Spent some time in the Navy and in the Marines. And when I got out because I wanted to go into IT full time. And the Marine Corps said, sorry, we already trained you for a job, and they wouldn't let me transfer. So got out, and I've been doing IT ever since. I'm the CIO of a small business in Tampa, Florida, and I additionally do podcasting. And the thing that I would like to tell you about the most for that would be I have the Veteran Connections podcast. So veteranconnections.us.
All righty. Thank you, Pete. Welcome. Heather, I'm going to unmute you, Heather. Okay, there you go.
Okay, well, number one, I didn't realize that Pete and I are so close to each other. I'm in Venice, Florida, so Pete and I could hang out. So I am a disabled veteran from Desert Storm. I actually joined as the war was just starting in April of 1991. And unfortunately, I thought mine would be a career as well, but I broke my back in 3 places, so that did not work out so well. I have a nonprofit cupcake company where 100% of the money, not proceeds, 100% of the money goes to a veteran in need. I started the Veteran Crusader mission last year, and that is just where any veteran that needs help and assistance to get their benefits or whatever it is in life that they need to live the life of freedom that they fought for, call me 24/7. I'm available. You know, I went on your podcast and I just threw out my phone number. I don't care. I just give it. And then I started a podcast also last week, and it is the Veteran Crusader Mission as well. And that's all because it took me 17 years to get my service-connected disability.
And that is, thank you, Heather, and welcome. And that is our topic for today, is navigating the VA system. And everybody here they're veterans, of course, but they have different perspectives on the VA system. Like Heather told you, she spent 17 years working to get her benefits. Jada actually worked for a company that was contracted out by the VA. And Pete works with Veterans Connection, the podcast, and he also helps with LinkedIn profiles, correct?
Yeah, and entrepreneurship type things.
So who wants to go first in telling Well, actually, let's talk to Heather first. So Heather, tell us about your story of why it took 17 years to get your benefit.
Well, it started out, with the typical, we can't find your file. You need to contact St. Louis. Then you contact St. Louis and, oh, your files have disappeared. And, I would apply and get denied. I would appeal it. It would take years. And then it was just a mess. And it wasn't until 17 years later, and it's not like I got back paid 17 years. I got back paid a year. That they finally said, okay, we'll give you 30%, because they have this very special chart on how they like to part out your body. So like this would be your pension, and this would be service connected pension, service connected. And then you take like 20, let's say the highest percentage you had was 20%. So you take 20% and you go down to your next number, which would be 20. So that now you're at like 21%. And so, like my back was worth 20%. The nerve damage that it caused in my arms and my legs, that was 10%. And no, I'm sorry, that was 5%. And then the PTSD, the MST, and the agoraphobia was 5%. Now I'm up to 50%. What? So I get an extra $1 every month.
So are you still fighting to get that raised?
Yes, it's in appeals. It's been in appeals, but currently our appeals process is a 5-year wait, according to the reality of our VA system. You're going to wait 5 years, and probably within the next, they say 10 years, but I'm going to say like the next 2-3, you're looking at an 8-year wait for appeals.
So Pete, have you filed for VA benefits?
No, basically the only thing that I used when I got out, because I didn't retire, so I didn't get full benefits anyway. I used the Montgomery GI Bill for some, continuing education, and basically took a bunch of IT classes, and that's really the only part that I used. The one thing that I think, though, is that there's so many things out there that people talk about the VA and they have a hard time with the VA, whether it's benefits or education, and the delay in getting things done. And I think that there are so many other programs out there that could be used as a supplement to what people are trying to do with the VA. All these 501c3s that are doing something, like the DAV. There's a lot of alternatives, and I think that's really important to know, because if we're talking about benefits, if we're talking about getting help, I don't think that we should just look at the VA.
Okay, thank you for your input. And Jada, did you file for VA disability?
I did. When I got out of the military, one of the conditions that I had was due to them giving me the wrong medication while I was on active duty. That actually caused my daughter to be born severely premature. So I fought not only for myself, but I fought for my child because of the long-term effects that she was going to need help with. And they were very hesitant. When you have a service-connected injury, but you're only in for a very minimal window of time, it's kind of like, do you really want to apply for these benefits? Oh, you'll be okay. But I had an uncle that told me, you get everything that you're due. If you went for a snag fingernail, if you went for a tooth extraction, you go for your benefits. You work for them. You went in with this not being a condition that you had. If it takes you 20 years, you fight and you get everything that you're due, but you don't do it for yourself. Because when you have kids, you have to think about where they're going to go to school. If they want to go to school out of state, how are you going to afford this? If something is to happen to you because of these injuries, what are going to be your next steps? So I went in with just 3 conditions that I thought would matter. And of course, they told me, no, you had that's a congenital defect. I'm like, no, I've never even been to the doctor for this in life. But you have to know what it is that you are putting on there. Because a lot of times they'll say, oh, there's no records to substantiate your claim. But then there's that one sheet of paper in your records that you're like, I found it. It's right here. So then you're doing the footwork for them. And that's pretty much the problem that I ran into. And now that I know a little bit more about how the system operates as far as them getting the paperwork, getting your exams, what they're looking for during the exam that matches what's on the paperwork in your actual file, makes a humongous difference. It makes a world of a difference.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll give my experience. I got out in May of 2014, and I am 80% disabled by the VA. PTSD, knees, back, and my feet, something like that. But it is like a weird math and everything. But PTSD is my biggest one. I did suffer MST. I was sexually assaulted while I was in the military. And that's one of the major things. But I think I don't complain about my experience because I've heard so many who have complained about the experiences they had with claiming VA disability. I lost CB. Okay. Hopefully she comes back. I hope I didn't scare her off. But I got out and I was chaptered out. I got out and then I immediately applied for healthcare, VA healthcare and disability. And I got 80% right off the bat. So I was like, thank you, Lord. I don't have to do an immediate appeal. But one of the benefits to having the VA disability claim is that, like, whenever I go to, because my PTSD is Service Connect, whenever I go to the VA, as far as psychiatry or therapy and any medications that I take, it's covered. I don't have to pay a copay or anything. So that is one of the ups. And also my behavioral health team here in Topeka, VA are amazing. My nurse practitioner here in Junction City, CBOC, our clinic, amazing. So I've had an amazing experience. However, I can understand how it's frustrating and how much of a hassle it can be for people. And what I'm hearing is that it may also, one of the factors may be when you served. When you served, if you're a combat veteran, what era, I mean, all kinds of stuff. So Jada, from your perspective as being a contractor or working with a contractor who was contracted out by VA in relationships to disability, what's your perspective with that?
That was one of the things that the company I work for is QTC, and they're one of the largest contracted examiners for the VA. When you go into looking at a claim, the claim process pretty much is, do we have your medical file? Can we send the medical file so that when you go in for your exam, the doctor already has an idea of what you're coming in for? So if you're coming in for PTSD, if you're coming in for MST, if you're coming in for your back, your knees, your wrist, we have to have some kind of pre-existing notification that comes along with that. If you're coming in straight off of active duty and you're coming in from a war zone, with the new way that the military is now, or the VA is now setting up combat veterans, because there are so many additional conditions that go along with the area in which you were serving in that combat, you qualify for some additional benefits, but you don't know you qualify for those additional benefits if you don't speak up and say, I've been in a war territory, because that territory really depicts what other conditions are they looking at. Because then you're looking at skin conditions, you're looking at respiratory conditions, you're looking at your follicles of your hair, you're looking at what kind of injections were you given. That makes a huge difference than if you're just a stateside veteran where you've never seen combat, you've never seen an actual chemical zone, you've never been treated to go overseas. So those are two different areas that they look at, and they really have special criteria and special qualified trainees that deal with specifically those war veterans. A lot of times they'll send you in, they'll give you the DBQs, which are your disability questionnaires. You fill them out, and then they say, okay, well, now you need to take it to your doctor to have filled out. And you're like, okay, but I'm going for an exam. How does this all come back full circle? Well, they're looking at the specifics. When you were in your active duty status, when you were in your war zone, were you ever seen for any of these conditions? Did you have any kind of simple ant bite? Because ant bites from overseas deployment are totally different than if you have an ant bite stateside. I mean, it gets that specific, like really gets that specific. So you have to be very careful how you file your claim as a veteran. If you are a deployed military service member, you want to make sure you put that up front, because that will allot you a lot of more ground that you can stand on. And so it makes a huge difference.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Pete, you're up next. So tell us how you were talking about the supplemental agencies that help veterans after they or when they transition or after they transition out of the military. What are some of the ones that you've come in contact with or that you know about that people have had good rapport with and have gotten a lot of help with?
Well, there's a lot of great programs out there, like I was saying. And I guess besides the VA, one of the bigger ones that you hear about the most is DAV, and that's, for service disabled veterans. And they offer a whole bunch of stuff that they can help you out with, for veterans, whether, it's an outreach program or employment resources or whatever. And I think they're very well known, and they're pretty much a national program. But there are other ones too that will help with specific things. Like one that I worked with that's down here in Tampa is Racing for Vets. And they do things to try and help out veterans too, programs to help them, get back on their feet again. And the thing about it is a lot of the programs, I guess, you guys are talking about a lot of specifics that have to do with medical conditions and everything like that. And I guess a lot of the programs are, maybe the next step beyond that, because, once you get help and once you've gotten maybe some of the issues that, were troubling you fixed, then you figure like, what next? How do you get re-involved with the community? Because that's one big thing is, people get hurt or injured or depressed, and then they kind of isolate themselves. And so a lot of these other programs that are out there will help you get, reconnected with the community. The Racing for Vets and their program, it's more about like, making a person feel well again, making them, want to learn how to be something that has to do with racing, like an auto mechanic or a race car driver, and, they can win, they can be a hero. Things like that. I mean, there's like Team Red, White, and Blue where, it's like, okay, come and be part of a community and, run and participate in something like that. So maybe these programs aren't specifically things that are going to, help with the medical needs or stuff like that. But I think they're the next step. And there are literally, hundreds to thousands of these programs nationally. And one of the big things is people just don't know about all of them. Even in their own specific area, they may not have heard about them. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to do. And a lot of veterans are actually trying to do it is, pull together their resources and share them. So I've been listing things that I find out about on veteranconnections.us. So if you guys have anything that you think would be great to add, then, I'd be glad to add that.
See, I had to remember to unmute myself before I start speaking. Thank you, Pete. Thank you. CB, are you filling up? I know I'm kind of throwing you out there.
It's okay.
But welcome. Do you feel up to telling about your experience of retiring and then applying for VA disability?
Yes. And I apologize for all the movement. I was trying to get my my tablet to stand up. I don't know how to work this little fancy dancy cover I got, so I couldn't get it to stand out. Yeah, so I retired a year and a half ago, 2015, and my claim was submitted as a fully developed claim, meaning that I worked up until the last minute. I didn't take time off and to do things like that. So I worked up until the last minute. So and the way and I went through the DAV as well for my to process my claim. So the way they explained it to me is because I didn't start my claim like 6 months prior to getting off of active duty. I had to submit it as a fully developed claim. So I had, at that point, I had to wait until I got off active duty, till I was actually retired, before I could submit my claim. So I did. I retired October. The claim, got everything together. The claim was submitted in, I want to say January of the following year. And it took right at 11 months to process my claim from the time that it was sent in January until December. I think it was December. Actually, it was September of 2016 is when they adjudicated my claim. And it was December, a few months later, when I started getting my full benefits. So it was, it wasn't a bad process, because of course I didn't know what to expect, but looking back, it wasn't a bad process. I did have to go back and submit some additional paperwork, and it worked just the way my DAV rep told me it was. He said, I submit my claim, my fully developed claim with all my records. They get it, they process it, they do whatever, they go through it, and then they would send me out on I think they call them QTC appointments that the VA actually schedule. Those appointments, if you're filing a claim for my PTSD, they sent me to a couple psychiatric appointments. There was also some claim for some joint, some arthritis in my spine, and some nerve issues and things like that. They sent me on an assignment or an appointment to a neurologist. So they sent me to all these specialty appointments based on those injuries, illnesses that I was claiming. So once all those reports got done, they got sent back to the VA. And I think that's probably, maybe that's why it took mine 11 months, because I had to do all these outsourced appointments. But once all that was done, all the information got back to the VA, they adjudicated my claim, and the rest is history.
Thank you. I know that was kind of, like I said, I kind of threw you out there.
That's okay.
I saw you on, but thank you for giving your input.
Absolutely.
So, we've been mentioning, before I forget, we've been talking about the DAV, the American Legion and the VFW. All of those are considered veteran service organizations, and they also help you with filing your claim for disability. And for me, I tell everybody, file the claim. The worst you can hear is no, but you never know what you may get. And like Jada was saying, you have all kind of different things to consider, and you may have an illness or whatever that's service connected that may not show up now, but may show up later or worsen later. So definitely go ahead and get with the veteran service organization to claim your benefits, claim what you're owed, and not just disability, but education. Voc Rehab is another awesome program that I'm a part of as well. Carol, did you have something you want to say?
I did. I'm sorry. And I don't know if you all mentioned it earlier before I got on, but one thing that I found out is like when you're doing your claim, so you have all your different issues that you submit, and sometimes they may come back with a 0% rating on them. And that's not a bad thing. That's still good. It's because they're still considering it service connected. They're just not giving you a rating on it. So at some point in the future, and I don't know if you already said that, but at some point in the future, you can go back and you can reopen that claim based on those service connected disabilities, although initially they gave you a 0%. So Yeah, just because it
And I
says
think
0%,
also,
it's not an end of the story.
right. And I think also, as long as you have, it says that it is service connected, when it comes to healthcare, you can
Yes,
still get free healthcare for that.
that's
And of
correct.
course, it depends on time frames, if you were a
Mhm.
combat, what area
Right.
you served in, like Jada said, all of that, but definitely look into it. Heather, you're up next. Can you tell us how, thank you, CB.
You're welcome.
Heather, can you tell us how you help veterans navigate the system now?
Basically, what I do is I take my now 17 plus years, because I got mine in 2011, and it's 2017. So I take that 17 plus years of all of the, having to try to navigate everything. Like Jada said, you're basically doing the legwork yourself. And it's going to be a fight, especially when it comes to disability, service-connected disability. And you're trying to get your health care and all that. So what I do is I will help them. And just like she was saying, explain in detail. You need to have this written down. You need to write this down. You need to say this. You need to, if you have your records, make sure you add this. When it comes to mental issues, if you have photographs before and after of like what you look like, let's say Pete was talking about isolating and depression, get letters from people that you know that will say, well, she used to be like this and now she's like this. Everything that you can document and add to that, claim, the better you are. So I basically will talk them through it. And then I also teach them about benefits that they probably don't even know exist. One of which you brought up was vocational. A lot of people don't know about this, the certification and vocational rehab benefit. Most people think that they just have their GI Bill or post 9/11 and Montgomery, whatever bill you have to get your education. A lot of people also don't know you only have 10 years to use it or you lose it. You can pass it down to a spouse or your children. Whatever credits you haven't used, let's say you end up getting sick or whatever, and you don't want to pass it down to your child, pass it down to your wife or your husband, whoever you want. But it has to be a spouse or your children, your dependents. But don't waste what you got, So that's how I kind of help them navigating our system and what they're not being told when they come out. We get promised all of this stuff when we join, and then you get out and it's like a pat on the head and thanks and bye. I don't want to see you again. Like when I just got the 50% thing back, they made me go see a different psychiatrist. I talked to him for 15 minutes. That was it, 15 minutes. We spent 7 minutes on pre-military, 6 minutes on post-military, and 1 minute on my military career. And he came back and I have all this, everything that he wrote out, that my depression and everything is not from being raped in the military. It is actually from a childhood thing. It's amazing that I was able to even get into the military during wartime with all of these mental health issues from my childhood. And nobody noticed it. But now suddenly it's there. So I don't know. But that's basically what I do. I scope on Periscope. I just started the podcast. I have a Facebook group, a private Facebook group. I have a Facebook page. I try to keep everybody updated on what's going on. Like, was it yesterday? I did the Line and Kugel Shark Tank Yelp. Like, what do those 3 things have in common with the VA? Nothing, except for the fact that Jake Leinenkugel came out of retirement to work for the president and is now kind of hand in hand with the Secretary of Veterans Affairs Shulkin, and is going around. He's talking about closing some of the 1,400 VA hospitals, possibly, and outsourcing it or to private practice or however he wants to do it. But he doesn't have any government. He is a Marine veteran. I'll give him that. He's never had to step foot in a VA center. He's a Leinenkugel, for gosh sakes. Then they started what they call the Office of American Innovations, because we want to build our government up and our VA up like a business. So that's the Shark Tank part, right? And then they're working, and it might actually come out this week, I'm not sure, but they're talking that it might be put out this week for veterans, where we can go online and we can rate our local VAs, just like rating on Yelp. So that's what Leinenkugel, Shark Tank, and Yelp have in common. Nothing to do with the damn VA, but there they are, and they're all getting up in my business, and they need to walk away is what they need to do. They just need to fix it.
We can hear and tell Heather's frustration, but that's why I have different people from different perspectives on here to hear like the different experiences people have had with the VA or not had, and with claims and the different benefits that they're using. And Jada, I've seen you shake your head a lot. Do you have something you like to say or input? Oh, hold on. Okay, there you are.
So just listening to Pete and Ms. Wallace and Heather, and I'm sitting here and it's like, wow, in the state of Texas alone, there are so many benefits for veterans, and nobody really knows about them. We have
one of them, before I forget, one of them is Hazelwood Act.
Yes.
If it's listed in Texas,
yes,
go back and get 100% tuition-free college.
yes.
So definitely look that up.
And with the Hazelwood Act, the good thing is, if you don't even want to use it, you can give the Hazelwood Act to your kids as well. Now, the only thing is only one kid can go on the Hazelwood at a time. So you have to decide what kid you want to give the Hazelwood Act to. But as long as you're going back into the VA and you're getting rated and you're getting different claims and different conditions, rateable decisions, then you can qualify for your voc rehab each time your percentage is changed or modified. So that's a good thing. So you can start at 30 and you qualify for your voc rehab. You go up to 60, you can qualify within voc rehab for maybe something different within that. So if you missed it at 30, you can still get it at 60. If you missed it at 60, now you're at 90, you can still go back and get the voc rehab. Other programs that they have, we have a huge homeless veterans population. And a lot of them don't know that in Texas, through the housing authority, you qualify for what they consider a homeless veterans voucher. That voucher will get you an apartment, a house. They'll help you get furniture. They'll help you get pots, pans, all of your starting basics that you need once you move. They have a caseworker that follows you for 6 months. They help you with financial coaching. They help you, if you want to go into business, they help you find the Small Business Administration to help you find out what steps do you need to take to become an entrepreneur. So there's those other programs that are out there as well. The Wounded Warrior program is phenomenal. They are like my heart sent. I love them so much. They give away homes, they modify homes, and they do it at no cost to the veteran or the veteran's family. So there are those programs as well. For a lot of the female veterans, MST that is one of the hardest things as a woman veteran to even claim, let alone have to sit there, relive it every time you go in, because they denied it, because they said there's no police reports, there's no military incident reports. Even for men, I've gone to many counseling sessions within my MST groups, and the men that are there are the most encouraging, because they've had to step outside of their manhood to even go and submit this paperwork. But as far as a lot of our women veterans, they feel like they are pushed to the side, they don't qualify. We have actual women veteran programs that are specifically dedicated to women's health care, women's mental care, women's self-esteem. And so there's so many different things within the outside realm of just the Veteran Affairs Administration that need to be sent out, touched on. And if you don't know, you don't know who to go to. And the Homeless Veterans Program is a program all within itself. So if you don't have a social worker or a caseworker that you request through the VA, you'll never know about it. If you don't even speak to your psychiatrist or your behavioral health team about it, they don't direct you to it. And I think that's something that really needs to be fixed as far as helping these veterans get what they need.
And so you mentioned state benefits. I encourage everybody to look at, talk to their state or look at their state website to find out what veteran benefits are available in your specific state. And also, speaking of homeless, I want to give a shout out to Final Salute, who helps shelter homeless women and children, because veteran women are 4 times more likely to be homeless than their civilian women counterparts. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. And it hurts my heart to see veterans homeless. I mean, any homeless person, but it seems like the ones that I talk to on the corner or whatever, most of them are veterans. And that's sad. Serve your country and then you're homeless. But I know, and like when I go to Topeka, where the VA hospital is, we'll see homeless veterans. But like you said, it's a matter of getting the word out and knowing what's available and helping them understand and navigate the system. And it can be frustrating. It can. And I think that's what discourages a lot of people, is how frustrating it can be, and filling out the paperwork and constantly reliving the trauma that they've experienced. Pete, so does anybody have anything else? Oh, Heather did mention about HUD and VASH voucher as well. Heather, you want to talk more about that?
I was just saying, Jada was talking about it, and that's what the homeless voucher is. It's the HUD VASH voucher. And it originally was for anyone that was in, you could, let's say you were living somewhere and you were possibly going to be evicted and you were going to be homeless. Originally, that's what it was also for. I had actually been approved for it. I waited too long to find a place and then I lost it, you know. And now it's just specifically for chronic homeless people. But literally 1 in 4 people that are homeless that you pass on the street, they're a veteran. 1 in 4. So, you know, that's sad. We have 2 million female veterans. So the fact that we've got 2 million, you know, out of the 21.5, and we're more likely to become homeless, it's because we don't want to ask for help. You know, that's what's embedded in us. You know, we had to be 200 times better than a man. You know, I had a male dominated job when you were talking about MST. You know, I had to relive that. I had to speak it twice, write it in detail, and then go and talk to somebody else, to some random person that I hadn't talked to, and relive it again. I felt like I was raped 4 more times. And then for them to say, when I'm telling you in detail, this is what his car looked like, this is his name, this is his wife's name, he had children, you know, and they're like, no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen because you didn't act differently. I worked with all men. What was I supposed to do? Run around with my hair on fire, screaming, oh my God, I got raped by him last night. I worked with the guy. You know, he was a petty officer. I worked with him. How was I supposed to act? This is where you push it down. Now, I'm sorry that it took me from the age of 19 until I was 42 to actually finally decide to take care of myself and, you know, do something for me and finally get this out so that I didn't have agoraphobia, so that I would leave the house, so that I wasn't depressed all the time. But it's like, you know, it's like Jada was saying, you're reliving it all. I was being raped by the military again and again and again and again. So it's frustrating.
And that's one of the issues, many issues that specifically women veterans face. And oh, trust me, we're going to talk about that more. That can be a whole nother conference, 3-day conference, that alone. CB, did you have something you wanted to say?
Just, I was, and again, I apologize for coming on late because I don't know what you all talked about.
That's
but
okay.
In talking about some of the benefits, and this is whether I think you have to be at least 30%, if I'm not mistaken, at least 30% disabled, but the benefit for the education benefit, the vocational rehab benefit that's available, that's afforded. A lot of people I've talked to a lot of veterans, and they're not taking advantage of that.
Yes,
and it's a good I'm taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and then voc rehab, because
I'm sorry.
I know with I was talking to Pete, I believe, about it, but somebody had asked me about voc rehab because I hadn't looked into it for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
and then finally I went back and I was like, let me talk to my local
Mm-hmm.
voc rehab rep, and so that's how I'm getting my IT certification.
Right.
And it's just, and when she was telling me about everything that I'm eligible for, it just blew my mind.
Yeah. Even to include like healthcare, like if you're not 100%, or if you didn't retire and you don't have TRICARE like I do, or you didn't, whatever, you don't have whatever your percentage is, they will even provide you with healthcare or dental care if you needed healthcare, as long as you're maintaining your appropriate levels within the program.
And on the job training
supplies, they provide a computer, a printer, whatever you need to go to school for whatever you're going for. Yeah. And so it's an excellent program. And I even found out by an accident, real quick, a couple weeks ago, I traveled somewhere and I parked my car at the airport. So when I got back to the airport, there was some issue with my card and getting out of the garage, the little parking garage. So I was going to run through it, just blame it on my PTSD, but I better not. So I called the attendant. He raised the gate, and then I had to go around to the other side to pay. So he said, "So I need to write down your license plate number or your tag number." He said, "You know your tag number?" I said, "I don't." So he walked out to my car to get the tag number. He came back and he said, "You have DV plates?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You're a disabled vet?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Parking doesn't cost you anything." He said, "It's a new law that they passed. Like, I don't know if it's all airports or if it's just here in Florida, but he said, if you have a DV sticker, tag plate on your car, that you don't have to pay for parking at airports." A lot of the toll bridges, there's a lot of tolls here in Florida, different places. I don't have to pay for that. I get a little speedy pass because I have a DV sticker, a DV.
Really?
So there's a lot of disabled veterans. They're getting the little placards, that you hang in the window, but you can get a DV plate. If you have, I think I want to say it's 30% or more. I may be wrong, but you can get a DV plate, and it serves the same purpose as the placard. You can still, for those who are really disabled, you can still park in a handicap parking spots and don't have to worry about that little placard hanging up on your window. And there's a lot of benefits just from having a DV. And last thing, and when I went to get my tag, when I went to the local DMV to get my tag, I had to provide them a copy of my letter from the VA to show my percentage and my unemployability. And so with that, I didn't have to pay, but I think it's $4 for 3 years. My tag is good for 3 years, $4. That's all I have to pay. So a lot of benefits. Take advantage of them.
Yes, thank you. I love how we get excited when we find out stuff.
I know, right?
We want to go post it on Facebook, like, oh my goodness, guess what?
I got a DV plate.
So I'm going to have to check out that toll thing and the airport parking.
Yes.
Like you said, I don't know if it's everywhere or the different percentages, but I think in Kansas, I think it's 30 or 40% you can get a DV plate.
Okay.
And yeah, so I got to check on the parking and stuff.
Like I had told somebody, it's like, I don't care about the percentage. I just want my DVD. I just want my DVD played. That's what I was looking forward to.
Thank you. Pete, you've been quiet. You haven't unmuted yourself, so I
gonna
figured
be
you
good.
were okay. I figured you didn't have any jokes to put in, but you can throw them all out now.
Okay, well, I'll have to say that, I've still been thinking about when Jada was talking about those ants because, when I was in the Philippines, we had some monkeys, right? And the monkeys would actually chase people down the hill. So, talk about stress or PTSD, you're just trying to get to work. These monkeys are chasing you down the hill and that's really bad. But so now I'm wondering about, like, where was she and what kind of ants were they? Because I really don't think I want to go there and mess with those ants. You know what I'm saying? But
Pete was
seriously,
ready for it. How long were you sitting on that?
I've been thinking about it. Those ants, I'm like, I don't want to mess with those guys. I don't want to go there.
So, Pete, thank you for that laughter moment.
So
Pete,
I had something that I thought might really be interested in, though.
Okay.
One of the things is you guys talking about, the VA and the things that the VA is doing. And a lot of you, it sounds like, have actually had a lot of luck with the VA, in getting your claims, approved or, getting what you needed. But you hear so many people talk about, the problems, just getting an appointment, getting the right medication and all kinds of stuff like that. Well, I wanted to make a comment and point out that the VA is actually now starting to look at statistics on alternate different ways of getting things done. And, instead of just maybe going to a doctor and getting some medication, but alternate therapies.
Mm-hmm.
And now that they're looking into that, it gives us so many more options because there are programs out there that address that stuff now. And the statistics are that they're very successful. So that's why the VA is starting to look at them. Like, one organization that I'm familiar with is Veterans Alternative, and they do things, like, yoga and all kinds of other crazy things that I don't even know how to spell, but they're really awesome, and the success rate's really great, and when you see things like that, and then you hear that the VA is actually, looking at that, which means they might start covering that, I think that's really incredible. So I really just thought that we should say, hey, if there's a chance in your area to look into alternative, things, maybe you should look at that as well.
Yes, definitely. And VA Veterans Choice is another program by the VA, which if you have an appointment, if you make an appointment and it's further than 30 days out, you can go to a non-VA doctor. So if you're listening to this, look into Veterans Choice. And what you were mentioning about alternative therapies, Pete, I was speaking with Corey Duncan the other day, and she mentioned a program like that the VA, it's like in a pilot phase right now at certain VAs. One of them is in Columbia, Missouri, I believe, or Springfield area, somewhere in there. And I love it. Like you said, the yoga, I think coaching, just, some kind of martial arts, just different things like that are therapeutic other than medication. So Pete, I know you talk a lot about entrepreneurship. So what are your takes on veterans going from being in the military, moving into entrepreneurship?
Well, the statistics for that are basically when someone gets out of the military, it's really 50-50. Some of them, they just want to stay on a team, work for the man, and they like being part of an organization, so they just want to get a new career somewhere. The other 50% of us basically don't want to work for anybody anymore, and because of our leadership skills and abilities, we want to start our own job, make our own company. And there's so much of that going on that I know that every single state has programs, for starting up a business. There's like the Rosie Network that's out in California. We have the state of Florida's got Operation Startup, and there's a couple locations for that. I know like one of them is down here in Tampa. And with resources like that available, you can walk into a center, everything's all paid for, and they can really kind of help you get up to speed, help you get your business plan. And there's just so much available that I don't think veterans even know that it would be so easy for them to start their own company. And there is a whole bunch of people and mentors that are just like willing to help them. And a lot of those people that are willing to help them are veterans. And so I decided that, I wanted to get the word out on that. And that's actually the reason that I started Veteran Connections .us, because all I'm doing is interviewing veteran business owners and passing that information to the transitioning veterans, because I go to Milkdale Air Force Base here in Florida every single month, and I give them some training on LinkedIn. And all those people that are getting out, that's what they say. They're like, well, I don't know what I want to do when I get out. I'd like to start my company, but I don't know how. And if that's just one base, and every single base is saying the same thing, because it's the percentage of the people in the military is declining. More people are getting out than they're going in. So we need to give them the best opportunities to start companies, because I think the more veterans have their own company, the better America is.
Love it. Love it. So can you give us, so I know you're like the LinkedIn guru. So can you give us some quick tips about LinkedIn?
I'll give you my favorite tip, because I'll give you some of the basics first that most of you probably already know. But if you don't have a picture, you need to get one. Most people know that. But they say, make it a professional picture. Don't make it your Facebook photo, because you might look like you're a great person and have fun partying at the beach, but that doesn't really help your professional network, right? So get a nice picture, and then make sure that your headline doesn't just say something like project manager, because you can actually put a whole line full of stuff on there and use every single character. You can say veteran advocate. You can say, I'm super great at this, or I'm super great at that. And then, you'll look good. They'll keep looking, because if, you don't have that at the very top, if you don't have a good headline and you don't have a good picture, usually recruiters or whoever, they'll just keep right on going. You'll have no chance. They'll look at somebody else. So you got to catch their eye and reel them in. But now here's the big thing. Say you got a recruiter who's looking at your thing because you're looking for a job, and then they start looking at your profile and they're like, man, look at that beautiful picture. And then they get to that headline and they're going, wow, they do tons of stuff. That's great. And then they start looking down and they see your experience. One thing that people don't realize is that almost every single person's profile, your own, and you can tell this by looking at someone else's. You can't always really realize this when you're looking at your own, but go look at somebody else's profile. 9 times out of 10 over on the right side, as you're starting to go down and you see the summary and the experience, on the right, there's this whole list of people. And it says that these are people just like you. So every one of those people that's just like you is your competition. So LinkedIn is saying, hey, there's lots of people out there. There's lots of people that could do that job. There's a lot of people just like you. So if a recruiter pops over there and looks at one of those people, they may forget about you and never come back. So what I tell everybody to do is go into their settings, their privacy and settings, and turn that off. And that'll cut away all your competition. And that's a huge win for us. And that's a huge win for veterans. So tell any veteran that you know that.
So wait a minute. So if you turn it off, that means when someone looks at your profile, it won't come up?
That's right. That little thing down the right side that shows all those other people will not show up on yours. And that means that the recruiter or whoever's looking at your profile, that hiring manager, they're just going to keep right on moving down your profile and looking at things about you, and they won't get distracted by everybody over on the right.
Wow. Thank you for those tips. I was sitting here writing things down. So thank you. Thank you. And at first I had discounted LinkedIn because I was like, oh, that's another social media or whatever connection platform that I have to learn or whatnot. And I know when we did ACAP, they had us create a LinkedIn profile. And I was just like, okay, whatever. But now I actually created another one for me as Coach Ariel, and I've gotten a lot more feedback, made more connections, but I will definitely look into making those changes. And Heather asked, where do you turn it off at again? If you can say that one more time. Unmute yourself, P.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to be good. So basically, when you're going to LinkedIn, it's in your privacy and settings. And with the new LinkedIn, where you can find that is there's that big black bar at the top that goes all the way across. There's a little circle with a picture of you. It says me. So you go to me and you click that, and that's where you'll find your privacy and settings. And once you click on privacy and settings, you'll just go to privacy. And then what you want to do is you want to find the one that says viewers of this profile also viewed. That's the one. If you turn that off, nobody will see your competition. But if it's on, every time somebody looks at your profile, they're seeing all those other people who might be just as good as you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I know Pete is going to be on my podcast and I'm going to be on his, but Pete, can you definitely do a webinar for me just for veterans, please, about LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be all right.
Okay. That would be great because I didn't even like those little tips. I'm like, well, duh. And then, wow, like I didn't know about the right side thing. So those are very good. Thank you. So I know it's Wednesday. Empire comes on in like 5 minutes. I am not going to compete with Empire. So let's wrap things up real quick. Pete, since you're already unmuted, is there one last piece of 1 minute, one last piece of information you like to give out, and tell us again how to get in contact with you?
I would say basically I would just like people, if they need resources, to go to veteranconnections.us. That's where you can find me. That's where I'm putting resources, and that's where I'm podcasting and passing information on to transition veterans.
Thank you. Thank you. CB, would you like to give your information and any piece of advice? You got to unmute yourself, though. Okay, I'll unmute you. There you go. Yep. There you go.
Okay, thank you. I'm on social media, CB Wallace, CB Wallace, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all under CB Wallace. And my only advice are to the veterans who are listening, who have not been able to navigate the system, to take advantage of those resources that Kevin and Heather were talking about, and to fight for what they for what's due them. And just I was in the VA last week. I had to go to the VA last week, and I was talking to an older gentleman out there, and he obviously had some issues, some medical concerns, and he was telling me how many times that his claim has been denied. And I don't understand the VA in that respect. When you can see, a lot of my injuries, a lot of my scars, you can't see them. His, you could see. And you mean to tell me that all these years he's been fighting, trying to get his benefits, and he hasn't gotten them yet? So I would just encourage those veterans that, even if you feel like getting up, to keep pushing, keep at it, keep riding it until you get your benefits.
Thank you. Thank you. Jada, what nugget of knowledge do you want to leave us with, and how to get in touch with you?
Well, the little bit of knowledge that I would like to leave with you guys, there is a website. If you are looking for more information on how the VA looks at a condition that you put in. You never want to put in a condition for pain or a syndrome. You always want to put it in as a legitimate, as they call it, just the condition itself. So you never want to say just pain syndrome. You want to be very specific in how you do it. The website is Military Disability Made Easy. So just www.militarydisabilitymadeeasy.com. On that website, you can put in pretty much any condition, and it will break down exactly how the VA will rate that condition. Mm-hmm. So you have a little bit more knowledge about how to put in what it is you're seeking. So if it's just a toenail, a back, a tooth, it will break everything down for you from a 0% rating to how to get a 100% rating. So that's a little information a lot of people aren't aware is out there for them to even look at conditions prior to filing a claim. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm on Facebook. It's Jada Lanice Andrews. Or if you want to send me an email, it's just jada.sullivan09@gmail.com. I'm open. You can call me, area code 210-630-5064. I'm just here for whatever it is I can help you with. If I need to walk you through how you need to speak when you go to your claim appointment, we can break it all the way down to the words that you need to say to the doctor.
That's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Heather.
Yes, ma'am. I would say don't give up the fight. I know that, when we get out of the military, especially during a war, that we're tired of fighting. But you cannot give up the fight. It's an uphill battle. They're working on changing the system to make it better for us. We have to kind of put a little faith and a little trust in Trump right now. So I'm keeping an open mind, but don't give up the fight. You have to fight no matter what. And if you're afraid to fight for yourself, like Jada said, reach out to one of us that's willing to stand up and talk and help you through it. Reach out to one of us. On Periscope and Twitter, I'm at HM as in Mary Weber with one B, like the grill, not Weber. It's just one B. And everywhere else, it's the Veteran Crusader Mission. My Facebook page is facebook.com/V as in Victor, C as in Crusader Mission. And my email is theveterancrusadermission@gmail.com. And my phone number is 941-883-1879. And I'm available 24/7.
And people like freak out when I put my phone number out there. So it's glad to see that other people are just as crazy. But thank each and every one of you. I thank everyone who has been watching us live on Facebook. I will go on Facebook and comment there. And thank you again to the panelists. Thank you for all your information. Thank you for what you do to help other veterans. And again, I am Era Renaud, Certified Life and Veteran Development Coach. And this is the last and final day of Candid Conversations VirtuCon for the spring. We will be I'll probably do these at least once a quarter. CB, did you have something to say real quick?
Oh, I'm crying. It's the last one.
Somebody always has to distract you. It always has to be that one. So I am Erin Renaud, Certified Life and Veteran Development Coach and founder of The Veteran Woman. This is the final day of Candid Conversations VirtuCon for this go round. I will more than likely do these once a quarter, so stand by. Also, if you go to www.theveteranwoman.com, you will find my podcast. And so the conversations continue there. We talk about all kinds of stuff, just like we've talked about in this conference, this virtual conference. But you can also go to veteranwoman.com/candid conversations and catch all of the replays for a limited time. You can catch the replays, and you can also go to the bottom and leave a comment. So please give me your feedback, your comments, how you felt about the different ones, which day you like the best or the most, and any topics you want to recommend for future VirtuCons. And also subscribe to the email list so that you can get information and updates on events and other virtual conferences and physical conference and just whatever, just all the information you could possibly need. So thanks again for everyone watching. Thanks again to all the panelists from Monday, Tuesday, and today. I thank you again. I know Empire is on, so I'm going to let everybody off. So have a wonderful evening. Good night. Love y'all.